Welcome Black Hollywood Live fans. On today's Fit Club, we talk vapes, musical health, sleep deprivation, and more with health and beauty expert Annie Parker. Stay tuned.
You're tuned into Black Hollywood Live, the world's first digital broadcast network devoted entirely to urban entertainment and pop culture. Tune in right now.
Welcome, Fit Clubbers. We are back. I know we had a little hiatus, but I am your host, Shaka Smith, and I am joined by my lovely guest co-host, health and beauty expert Annie Parker.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm awesome. Thank you for having me back.
Yes, thank you for joining again. I know Annie for a long time now. We used to compete back in the day. NPC, National Physique Committee, IFBB Pro for bikini, and I did a little men's physique. So we've come up a long ways, but now we've gotten into the more of the health side than just the iron.
Exactly. Health focused. And I think we met in like 2012.
Yeah.
So it's been a minute.
Wow. How has that transition been for you? Because there was a moment where we were just kind of focused on lifting in the gym, and then it's like, wait a minute, there's more of a holistic thing I got to be attuned to. Were you always attuned to that? Or did it shift?
It's been so beautiful, actually. I'm so glad because I think that we get very tunnel vision, very focused when we're focused on competing and stuff like that. It's like the only thing that matters. But I was always a very, when I got my master's in nutrition, it was in holistic health. And then I took herbs and all these different things because I wanted to learn how to naturally heal the body. And then I got into bodybuilding and weightlifting, and that's just a whole separate beast where it's really hard to have one with the other, so you kind of go like to extremes, and then after a while you're like, oh, this isn't very healthy, and you start to like find your way back to what you originally started the whole thing for.
Yeah, it's hard because it's such a one-to-one thing. Like I'm lifting in the gym, I'm actually seeing results literally the next day sometimes.
Yeah.
You're feeling the results, and so you just figure input output, but forget I got to be watching everything else too.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're always eating clean. You're always working out. That's great. I would actually meditate during my workouts, so that was nice. But it's really hard to have any kind of balance at all, and everything is balance.
Yeah, and you're eating clean for the look of your body, but not necessarily the health of your body.
Right.
Whether it was like getting rid of water for whatever many hours, it's like I don't know about that. Have you tried dry fasting though?
What is that?
Where you have no water, no food for anywhere from like 24 hours to 72 hours. Some people even do it longer than that.
I would kill someone.
Yeah, we got to talk about that. But dry fast's a new thing. I've been hearing about, kind of playing with it myself. So
I've done liquid fasts where I do, broths or just juicing or something like that, where I'm still getting nutrients, but I've never, I feel like my blood sugars would not be okay with that.
Well, they're saying 1 day of dry fasting can yield like the same benefits of 3 days of water fasting.
Really?
And so I'm here, there's like a dry fasting community. We got to talk about this a little offset too, because I was like, this is a new thing. But our first story deals with vapes, which is also sort of the new thing that's been tossed around, but in a very contradictory story, this is actually about how vapes seem to be improving heart health over cigarettes. So it seems that your cardiovascular health does improve if you're replacing your cigarettes with your vapes. This, however, was a study done in the UK, so that they're saying that there may be some other factors where nicotine levels are different in the different cigarettes. But published in the Journal of the American College of Cardiology, looked at 114 people with improved blood vessel health after 1 month of switching from cigarettes to vapes. So it looks like there may be some benefits to making the switch. You're not saying to take up vapes or to start it. And it looks, according to the study, it looks like one of the factors is not the nicotine, but the other chemicals that are in cigarettes that you also get.
Totally.
As well.
And I think that's what I was kind of curious when I was reading the article was like, they don't really say like a brand or a type of e-cigarette or vape. Yeah. So I'm really curious because I think there are so many different types. Some are hurting people, some aren't.
Yeah.
I think it's so dependent on how they're made, what they're made with, what kind of extra things they're putting in it. Do I see where it could possibly be a little healthier than an actual cigarette? Sure. Like if you think about a cigarette, you're like burning paper and inhaling.
And there's other chemicals. They put chemicals in that. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. So I know people that even whatever they smoke, they look for like the most natural paper ever and stuff like that. Just to make sure, or like rolled. There was like a rolled leaf or something that they were trying to smoke.
Yeah, rolled tobacco leaf.
Yeah. So, just to not have all that extra. So I can see where it would be better if it was something that was very clean.
Yeah.
As far as an e-cigarette, but it would have to be like I don't think because they sell them so cheaply here.
Yeah, you're not sure what's in what.
Yeah.
They're saying to be cautious, but it looks like they found the culprit. They're saying that vitamin E, for when people are getting the vaping lung disease, it looks like it's vitamin E was acetate is the culprit, and that's what because that was kind of bandied about before, but now they're saying they have like definitive proof to some degree that that's the one thing that's in all of the things they looked at, the marijuana vapes and the non-marijuana vapes that caused it. So maybe that's something to look at, but at the same time, there's so many things that are new about vaping that that might be one issue, but there could be other issues down the line too.
That's exactly the thing. And I always thought, the vapes that were making people sick were the ones that people were making at home in their basements.
It's like ones they were buying.
Yeah. But that's when I was reading it, I was kind of thinking because the doctor said a lot of times, a couple different times in that study, we don't know long-term results, and it made me think of Splenda. Remember when Splenda, not stevia, not using stevia, people, when Splenda, the yellow packet, first came out, everyone was like, oh, this is great for diabetes, great for this, great for that. Well, now, because it wasn't around long enough to show long-term effects, now they're like, oh, but, it could increase chance of stroke by 50%, by the way, now that it's been out for a minute. So, everything has to be out for a minute for them to see that kind of thing.
Yeah, so it's like you got to do your own homework, and, I mean, you can, whatever choice you make, you should just have the best information available to you.
Totally. And the thing with some of these studies sometimes, as someone that was a medical rep, is, depending on who's funding the study, they can be made to look any kind of way you want them to.
And I personally like observational studies that look at that look at many other studies and then draw conclusions from looking at a whole swath of studies. Because those tend to be a little bit more representative of conclusions that you might be able to apply to yourself.
Yeah.
So.
Totally.
Little tips to look out for when you're looking for studies. Know who's funding it, and overviews are good. The next study is actually about social media and the effect on teens' mental health.
Yeah.
And, of course we know that it's caused a disruption there, but what they're finding is it's causing a disruption because it's also disrupting positive activities. So it's disrupting sleep. It's disrupting exercising. So part of it's not just the fact that they're on social media and getting more exposed to bullying, but that the positive mechanisms to cope with that are also being disrupted as well.
Totally.
And so this was actually in the journal, the Lancet Child and Adolescent Health. It looked at 10,000 kids, 13 to 16 in England again, and they surveyed these kids in different metrics of how they were feeling and their activity in different things, whether it was sleep or working out, and it really affected girls more so than boys, especially when it came into eating to the positive habits, especially sleep. What did you make of this? Someone in social media, as a female in social media, how have you been able to kind of balance that, not getting those positive habits interrupted by social media?
Yes, and what's funny is when I first read this article and they were talking about kids and teens, I was like, this is for adults.
Yeah, not just them. You just grow out of it at night.
Adults need this too. I think the only thing we can say as adults is, we have some sort of awareness sometimes where we can go, oh, well, I've been on my phone for a really long time. I need to shut it down and be productive, or I need to stop this and go to the gym or whatever. And kids don't have that. That's why there are parents. That's why, it's like, when we were kids, it's like you get an hour or so of TV time, and then you go do your homework, or then you go play outside. It has to be the same way for kids now.
Yeah.
You have to monitor their social media time the same way you would monitor their TV time. Otherwise, they're just, lost in an abyss of
I think it's so hard because it's like, before it was, playtime was outside. I knew that you were something different, but... Now you can be on social media and looking at your book, or doing things I think are productive, but I would have no idea that you're also in this complete other world.
Yeah, exactly. And then even as an adult, sometimes, and I'm the first to say, I will go down the rabbit hole of shade room comments. I will get lost in there, and people are mean sometimes. You know what I mean? Or any kind of that's one of my favorite places to get pop culture stuff. But kids and adults, they're I have a 9-year-old niece, and she was Cinderella for Halloween. You know what I mean? The kids in her class, some of the other girls were like, well, that costume isn't cool.
In comments?
Yeah. That costume isn't cool, that's childish. She's 9. That is childish. She's 9. But I'm like, I sent her a photo of the Met Gala, and I said, show them this. It is cool. Yeah. So, and it's like kids can be mean. Yeah. So.
What I found interesting was the metric for overuse of social media was they looked at kids using Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, with Twitter and Snapchat, but 3 times or more was frequent. So are you a frequent user?
Oh,
social media? 3
totally.
times or more during the day?
Yeah. I mean, we're social media people. You know what I mean? I mean, partly our image and our business is run through social media.
Yeah.
So and I think for me as an adult, I have to even the last year I've done this where I've been like, I am just mindlessly scrolling way too much. Even when I'm trying not to, I still am.
Yeah.
And I need not to because I don't even love social media. It's just work to me, and we were talking about them taking the likes away, and I'm actually really, really glad they did that. I don't think, as influencers or creators or whatever they want to call us now, I don't think that it'll hurt us at all.
At all, yeah.
Yeah, because, you can still I can still see all my insights and stuff like that and send them to companies, and if that's what they want to see, you can still see all the comments.
And companies to me they liked the way my Instagram looked. They liked the pictures. There was the focus on the pictures.
Yeah.
And so I think hopefully that will be more. There'll be more of a focus on the content you're creating, so that when you have these business relationships or whatever sort of relationship, it's based on the content you're putting out there.
And one thing I really thought of when they took away the likes is, every time I was posting, I was like, because a lot of times things that I liked weren't what my audience liked.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which is going to happen. But I was like, maybe now I can get back to posting a little more about what I like and not just constantly posting for them.
Exactly, yeah. Because sometimes you want to share things, and there isn't a part of your audience that does want to see those things.
Right.
And so maybe getting them more engaged, and that's kind of great to kind of feel that dialogue.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, for anyone that's worried about their ego, it still says "and thousands" when you're doing it.
Yeah, but people were so angry. People were so like, "Oh my God, they're gonna take away the." Why? Why does it matter? I thought the content is what mattered.
Yeah, it definitely. But I do think, for kids, I do think it's important, because that's certainly not, like, I cannot imagine if my childhood, my last 10 years might have been focused on this, but I couldn't imagine my childhood being focused on this. So.
And maybe the solution is to look into the positive things and not really worry so much about, let me limit your social media, but tonight you're going to make sure you get 8 hours of sleep. And in order to do that, here's what time you have to be in bed. Here are the good habits that we're going to create so that you are in bed and feel comfortable going to bed at this particular time and waking up. And then let's create good habits around physical exercise, especially for kids. What's your favorite thing to do? Maybe get them in more organized sports or things that take them away from social media without taking away social media.
Yeah.
And so I think that's the lesson. I think for all of us too, though. And that's why I go to yoga, because like yoga class, I got to put my phone away,
Yeah.
And so part of it's the yoga, but part of it's like she's gonna make me not look at the phone. Yeah, because even when I'm working out, I'm still on the phone. But yoga, it's a way, and you feel so much different when you get that 1 hour of detox while you're awake, not just asleep. And to me, it makes a world of difference. So
really, I try so hard to get into yoga. I seriously, I meditate. I love, like, I'm an energy person, so I don't know if you ever notice this or see this, but I'm very empathic. So a lot of times when people go to yoga, they're going to de-stress, which means they're carrying a lot of stress in a very hot room, so sometimes I can like feel other people and I'm like, I need to get out of here. So I've always enjoyed yoga. Like when I lived in San Diego, I went outside on the beach, and I think they even in Santa Monica they do one on the pier and stuff, so I try to.
So you need that outdoor yoga. They got one at Running Canyon.
I also don't like to be hot like that.
It gets a little intense.
It's really intense.
But good body results.
Obviously.
Our next story is about 78 minutes of music health is what you need to better your health. 78 minutes of music a day is what you need to better your health. And so this study, full disclosure, was performed by Deezer, which is a streaming service. But I think we can all agree that there's something to music and health, right?
Hands down.
So they looked at 7,500 people, and they looked at their physical and mental well-being. 90% reported that listening to music made them more relaxed, and that was the reason they listened to it. That was the benefit they got from it. 82% listened to it because they were happy or wanted to get happy. 47% to overcome sadness. 32% for concentration, and 28% for anger, which is important to work out sometimes.
There you go.
That's a good place. How have you used music, and what did you think of the study? I mean, it kind of makes sense, but it's nice to have a study too, right?
I think music has honestly gotten me this far in life. It really has. Music has made me live through LA traffic. I don't think, I seriously, people get anxiety in traffic. There's a lot going on. It's very nerve-wracking sometimes, especially when you're sitting there for hours.
Yeah,
and so it can be like an hour and a half for me to get up here sometimes from Marina, and like listening to Luther Vandross or something of that nature. I'm a very R&B person because that
chills
keeps
you out,
me
keeps you
in
zen,
a good place.
keeps you calm.
That keeps me in a good place. So yeah, I think that's
what I loved about this is it's like the first time that the study was looking at music as something to be prescribed. And they actually have, the 78 minutes, they actually break it down. They say you really want to be, on average, listening to 14 minutes of uplifting music a day, 16 minutes of relaxing music, 16 minutes of music to help you overcome sadness. So, I mean, you're choosing the music, but yeah. 15 minutes of music to help you concentrate, and 17 minutes of music to help you manage anger. That might be your hardcore rock. I don't know.
I know. I need to know what kind of music this is that helps you concentrate and manage anger.
Well,
Those are the only two.
You don't have music that when you're angry and you put it on, it helps you release that anger. Not just calm down, but helps you release the anger. Maybe it's sort of like for me, it's more a song that would be more like,
I'm trying to think.
No.
I got nothing.
Or you're just always zen because you're on that R&B. You're always on that R&B zen
Exactly.
level.
It keeps me in a good place. I don't get angry.
You're good. She's like, I'm not going to listen to that last 17 minutes. I'm good. But yeah, I thought it was really interesting. So I think people should be looking at music as a prescription, especially when it comes to mental health, and especially when it comes to whether it's motivating factors like listening to certain music to get to bed or listening to music to get to the gym. I think looking in this way kind of helps us maybe prescribe music for ourselves.
Absolutely. I think, honestly, it's so important. Like I said, I don't think, when I think to, like, all the great times in my life, like, I can put a song to it. You know what I mean? Like, there are so many things that, music has just kind of been...
And you have a fitness playlist.
Totally.
What's your go-to on your fitness playlist, or what's currently in heavy rotation right now?
Oh, my gosh. I actually... I have a lot of Chris Brown on there. I like all of his stuff. And... T-Pain's new song, Jerry Sprunger.
Oh.
Have you heard that?
I haven't heard it.
Him and Tory Lanez, I think, redid "I'm Sprung."
Oh, okay. Well, I was like, he's known for this
song.
Yeah. I love T-Pain.
I love T-Pain too.
If we can pull some T-Pain up, Jerry Sprunger, let's do it. But our last story is about Americans and sleep deprivation, which has been a huge thing for me. So I'm always looking at these sleep studies and sleep stories. But a third of Americans are sleep deprived, so if you are, you're in good company. This is a study out of Ball State University, and it was in the Journal of Community Health, and they looked at 150,000 adults between 2010 and 2018, and it looks like our sleep deprivation is on the rise, and it's characterized by 7 hours or less. Well, what was interesting that we were talking about, different areas of, I guess, work. Different sectors of the community suffer from higher levels of sleep deprivation. The military is at 50%, healthcare workers at 45%, transportation 41%, and production at 41%. But if you are a native-born American female with children, and you work for the government, and you live in the South, you are getting the least sleep. Yep. So this one's for you. This one's for you.
Yes.
What did you think about the sleep study? Have you had trouble with sleep? Did it surprise you that Americans are getting more and more sleep deprived?
No, and that almost goes back to, I feel like this study probably ties hand in hand with the social media teen study, because it's adults too that are sitting on their, in their bed, on their phones. Like even when they're partnered, you're sitting in the bed next to your partner on your phone. You know what I mean? Of all ages, not just kids. So I think that and. Of course, like I said, we love social media. We're on it all the time. But, it's just kind of, I have my phone shut down at 11:30. Yeah. So it's like bedtime at 11:30.
What do you, it shuts down? Like you set it to shut down, or you're just done?
It goes into sleep. It tells me it's bedtime. Like that's on the iPhone.
Oh, maybe we should do that.
Yeah. So you can set what time you want it to, and then it actually goes into sleep mode. Yeah. Nice. So you can still be on it, of course, but it lets you know that it's time for bed.
Yeah, because sleep has been one of those things. I'm so good, and I have a little bit of a type A personality. I'm so good at making progress in everything else I want to make progress in, but sleep has been the one thing I haven't. And so we got this new strap, which from Will Ahmed, Whoop, they able to get you one as well. And it quantified how bad I am at sleep. You know, I thought I was getting at least X amount of hours, but on average, I'm like in bed for about 6 hours, getting 4 hours of sleep. And so it's made me really focus in and hone in on it. And so I don't know what I'm doing wrong. So I'm getting the lavender and, you know, trying to make sure the lights are out and making sure the blue light and the red light, that whole deal. What have you done? What have you discovered about your own sleep patterns?
That I am very in tune with myself. I'm a very good sleeper.
Yeah.
I've always been a big sleeper. And I think we have kind of, people have really made popular the whole, you know, I use the word hustle all the time. You know, I'm from New York. I'm all about like multiple streams of income, multiple things going on. You know what I mean? I love hustle. Yeah. But I think when it comes to like entrepreneurs and business owners and people that have multiple things going on, they kind of glamorize not resting. Yeah. Like I'm up all night working. I'm doing this. You know, I'm up at 4 a.m.
Yeah.
And
Rise
it's
and
like,
grind.
Right. That's all great.
Yeah.
But I'm going to sleep first.
Yeah, but really, did you sleep?
yeah, because I'm going to be more productive if I get a good night's sleep. And that is actually, like we were talking about before we started, that's why in Europe they give you a 2-hour lunch break so you can go take a nap if you need one after you eat. You know, they give you 2 months off a year. Yeah. And they call your vacations holidays. Like, they want you to go on holiday.
They don't want you working holiday, working vacation.
Yeah. So, America is... It's almost like we work harder, we work more. I don't know that we work harder, but we work more. But are we as productive because you know we're not able to rest the way other countries rest? Yeah,
even with the presidential campaign, Trump's. There might have been a kerfuffle about whether he had a medical emergency, but the response to that was he's up way late at night and he's up early in the morning, no sleep, no sleep. And even when there was people like Elizabeth Warren, you know, she wanted to portray some sort of, I guess, vigor, and she's running down, she's doing some campaigning. But sometimes we do that to our detriment, and so it's one of those things where we got to be very checked into, even because it comes from the top down. Yeah. So now everyone hears this and they go, okay, no sleep's the way to be because that shows the vigor and them. But it's like, and I believe it and buy into it, and I have to still reprogram myself to say, wait a minute, I need to get to rest here.
Yeah, I've definitely gone through periods, even this year, where some of my friends they make a big deal about the fact that they're up at 4 a.m. going to the gym at 4 a.m. and all this stuff, and I'm like, well, I don't even set an alarm unless I have to be on set or have to be somewhere at a certain time. I naturally wake up at 7 to 7:30 a.m. like almost the same time every day. And for a minute I was like, should I feel bad that I'm like sleeping in that long, or like I'm not getting up at 4? Yeah. But they go to bed earlier than me. They go to bed at like 8:30. We're all getting the same hours in a day. They're just I like had to put it in perspective. Yeah. So. I like to work late.
And so I know with you, some of those stories, I want to turn a little bit more to what you're working on right now. So you're IFBB Pro, you're competing, decided going to go in a different direction. Yeah. How is that direction going for you? Has it been more fulfilling?
It has been enormously more fulfilling. I think that, while I was competing as a bikini pro, I started bikini modeling because that was just like one of the things, and that was, and it's kind of like I was always told, because I'm only 5'1", like I'm too short to be a model, even though when you're little, you really want to be one. Yeah. So that was kind of like my I'm still gonna do it anyway type moment, So then from there, I started hosting health and beauty shows and infomercials and stuff like that. So that became really fun. I was hosting with Jay Wow from the Jersey Shore and Todd Crisley and all these like super fun people. And I'm not a reality TV person, but they are like really fun. Yeah. They're not necessarily exactly, reality TV is not reality. Yeah. So it was really fun, and I get to use my knowledge about nutrition and stuff like that. I do a twice a week talk to about 300,000 women in a private community on Facebook about weight loss. Yeah, and a lot of them have had a lot of amazing success and just like being healthier in general, cutting down on processed food and a lot of the allergens like soy, dairy, stuff like that. So we talk a lot about that, and I talk to them a lot about their mindset. So I do, one of my shows every week is called Mindset Monday. So every Monday we get our mindset right for the week.
Nice. What's been your biggest challenge a problem you had to tackle from someone in your community, like a member that said, "Hey, I'm having trouble with this, or losing weight in this way or this way," or from whatever that spectrum is. What was the biggest problem for you, or toughest challenge?
I would say the biggest challenge that I'm seeing repeatedly is binge eating. And I tell it like this. So when we think about our grandparents going into the grocery store back in the 40s and 50s, they had like a little market where they could get just the necessities, So now we walk into the grocery store and we got
everything.
everything. And it's so obnoxious. But none of that is a necessity. We didn't have any of that. Our grandparents didn't have any of that. They had to make their own. They had to put love and sweat and effort into making their own. The breads now, I'm like, the breads stay on the shelves for 2 months before they go bad. That's not normal, So no wonder people are having like gluten problems, because they're putting so much else into it, and they're processing it in such a way that our body isn't even seeing it as wheat anymore. It's going, what is this? Because I actually do have gluten intolerance, but I can go to Europe right now, and I went to Spain last year and ate bread every day. Because they still throw theirs out within a day or two. They don't put the stuff in there in a lot of places that we put in here.
Wow.
So it's really interesting if you look at the food in different parts of the world and the food here. It's very different.
Yeah, because I'm a vegan, but I went vegan for health reasons. But I always said like, part of the thing is you're not even getting the meat, the benefits of the meat as it would have benefited you if it were natural from the land and what have you. Yeah, so you're just getting pumped up and it's getting industrialized and you're getting something completely different. And I don't want to go through the rigmarole of figuring out what is what. Be vegan, I'm happy. That was the easiest for me.
Yeah. What is your blood type? Do you know?
O positive.
You are an O, so do you have to take iron supplements?
They tell me, well, I have a vegan iron supplement I take, but even before I took it, I only because someone said, "Oh, the blood diet and this and that," but I felt great. And again, like my sleep is horrible.
Yeah.
But I started feeling really good when I went vegan, and I think that's part of it. Is that even though I have horrible sleep, that actually helps me cope better with that bad sleep. So excited to try to get the sleep on track now and see how much better I could feel.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that for me was like, and you can get these sort of same supplements, nutritions, the B12 and the iron, if you're just conscious about it, like any diet.
Yeah.
And I think people, think about veganism as another thing, and I'm like, it's also just another diet, and you still got to worry about your macros and what you're putting into your diet, whether it's processed or natural or So
like you don't even have any honey?
No, honey's my one exception. That's my one exception.
I like the first thing I was like, I can't do it. I like honey.
That was my one exception from the very beginning. That was always my one exception.
Okay.
And that was as I was discovering what was vegan and what wasn't vegan. And I was looking at the benefits of honey, and I thought, because I went for health reasons.
Yeah.
And so for me, the health benefits trumped, the vegan thing. And then I became more of a compassionate vegan because you just get more into it.
Totally.
And so I'm still learning about the bees and what processes which and where I have to get the honey from. So
I know.
It's a learning process. So.
I do use, and I'm from like the border of New York and Canada, like right outside of Montreal. So like if you see any of the trees where I'm from, they're all tapped for maple syrup, and they're selling maple syrup on the side of the street. So I try to use maple syrup more than honey, but I still do like honey sometimes. But I think because I'm an animal lover, like 100%. I will volunteer at rescues and stuff like that. So I have a hard time watching like some of the documentaries and stuff like that. But I also, where I grew up, even to this day, the cows are still outside, grass roaming.
Oh, wow. To this day?
Because where I'm from, they have a lot of Amish, and so we get a lot of our food from the Amish and stuff like that. So I was very fortunate to grow up like that, where it's made me very choosy about, living here and what I get, even for meat and everything here.
And we're lucky because LA does have like your options, and people are cognizant of the fact that they have an audience that does care about it. So we get lucky. But I do have something called Fit Club 5. We didn't do this last time you were here.
Okay.
We hadn't thought it up yet. But I'm going to ask you 5 rapid-fire questions, and you give me your first answer that comes to your head.
Okay.
Last person you texted?
You.
Dream dinner guest?
What?
A dream dinner guest, alive or dead?
Michael Jackson.
Last meal you ate?
Cauliflower crust pizza.
Oh, nice. Favorite junk food?
French fries.
And if you were on death row, what would be your last meal?
Either fried chicken or a really big steak. Don't hate me.
So, well, I guess you can have both. You want both, right?
Okay.
Your last meal.
With French fries.
Yeah, you don't limit yourself. It's the last one. It's over. It's a wrap. Awesome. I just want to thank you so much for joining us, or joining me.
Thank you. Well, thank you for having me. It's always an awesome time being with you.
Yeah, it's been so much fun. You got to come back.
Yes, thank you.
Well, guys, and where can they find you online?
Oh, Ms. Annie Parker, MS Annie Parker, on Instagram, and then sassyfitchick on Twitter.
Awesome, guys. You guys can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat at Shaka Strong, and we will see you guys next week.
Ooh, they got on the spot.
Hey.
She used to work at King of Diamonds on a Monday. Only hit the club on Saturday and Sunday. I used to pull up every week, you should have seen her. The way she did it, nobody could do it cleaner.
On behalf of our BHL staff, we would like to thank you for tuning in to Black Hollywood Live, the world's first digital broadcast network devoted entirely to urban entertainment and pop culture. Check out our Black Hollywood Live YouTube page for even more great programming and amazing content, and be sure to subscribe and like our channel when you do. I'm your BHL host, Nakia Monet, and you can find me on all social media at Kiki Boom Boom or at Black Hollywood Live. Black Hollywood Live, Hollywood redefined.